What's going on, Ravens fans? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Peterson. It is Wednesday evening, so that can only mean one thing. We are live right here on the channel, and I'm so happy to be with every single person that's in here. We got new producer Ethan on the ones and twos, old producer Jack in the building as well. Of course, I'm your host, Joey Peterson. Going to be giving you guys the exclusive. He's got his B for Baltimore hat back on. We got some awesome news and rumors to dive into on today's show. We're going to look at the Ravens press conference from this afternoon where they introduced new offense coordinator Declan Doyle, new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, new special teams coordinator Anthony Levine. Like, they introduced everybody. Jesse Minter spoke as well. We're going to hear and tell you everything they had to say. After that, we got my mock draft 4.0. I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint with this one. Lamar Jackson is going to love this mock draft, okay? After that, we'll get into our live Ravens mailbags, your questions, my answers. Before we get to your questions, though, I got a question for you. Do you think the Ravens will make a big trade this offseason, okay? And when I say big trade, I'm talking like trade for a starter. I'm not talking, a sixth-round pick. I'm talking like, will they trade away a day 2 or day 1 selection for one of the better players in the National Football League? Give me a yes or give me a no. This was also our live poll, and right now in almost 100 votes, 85% of you guys are saying yes. 15% of you guys are saying no. Ravens fan 987 saying, yo, we got Mike Nintendo Master in the chat. Jonathan Diaz say, was I right about Chubb? Yes, you were, my friend. Dylan asking what happened to Gage. I shot Gage. Just kidding. Gage, I've been with some of our newer guys over the last couple of weeks, kind of to help get their training off the ground. So Gage is, he's hanging out with some other producers, but he'll be back in short time. Do not worry. Chris Miller says, Lamar to Vegas for Crosby at first, then Vegas signs likely. I hope that does not happen. Joey, do you think Alohi stays if you have to choose? If I had to choose, yeah, I'd like Alohi to stay just because it would not cost that much money. But that's a great question, Attendance Squad. If you could ask it again and use hashtag Ravens. Hey, Joey, how you doing? Mike, I'm doing well. Hope you're doing good, my friend. Lamar to Vegas for Crosby. Just don't like that one bit. Something I do like, though, is this awesome brand new T-shirt that we have live right now. And when I say live, it could not be more live than it is because Jack is putting it in our live chat. All you got to do is click on that link, chatsports.com/flockgreen. It'll take you to this link, take you to this T-shirt. If you're excited about St. Patrick's Day or if you're just excited about drinking beers with your friends, we got our Baltimore drinking team shirts now live. If you want them in black, don't necessarily look good in green, we got the black option available as well. It's got the Baltimore drinking team, established 2026, Chat Sports logo, our second merch item ever available on this channel. And right now, we have yet to log our first sale of this item. So I'll tell you this. First 5 people to purchase it will get a shout out either on an upcoming video or on next Wednesday's live show. So be one of the first to be a part of my Baltimore drinking team because I need some teammates, ladies and gentlemen. Chatsports.com/flockgreen. It's in the live chat. It is also in the description of today's video. Click on it, and you can go ahead and get yourself one of them right now. The way you can get on our shows is ask your questions for our mailbag segments. Use those hashtag Ravens down below in the live chat, or a way to guarantee your question gets on the show. And I don't usually use the G word a lot over here. Guarantee is to super chat. All right, if you want to get on today's Q&A. If you got questions about the NFL draft, if you got questions about free agency, that's coming up in just 3 weeks. If you've got questions about trades, anything you want to know, I'm your guy. This new coaching staff, Lamar Jackson contract extensions. I am the encyclopedia for all Ravens questions you could have. So make sure to ask them down below. But don't forget to use hashtag Ravens in that chat, because if you don't use hashtag Ravens in the chat, we will not be able to bring it up in our software. And that also means we will not be able to answer that question on the video, unfortunately. So, again, just like Goat Gabe did, where do you stand with Roquan? Great question. Do you think the Ravens will try to sign D Ward? Awesome question from Big Deuce Uno. However, you got to use hashtag Ravens to get that on the question. Same with you, Owen Jackson, as well. What's up, Cardinals are good. Good to see you, my friend. Another thing that's good to see is that like button being pressed. Is that like number skyrocketing up. And if you want the Ravens to win the Super Bowl next season, I need you to do me one big favor and hit that thumbs up button. We're only, 10 days away? 10 days removed, I should say, from Super Bowl 60. Unfortunately, the Baltimore Ravens did not even make the playoffs, but we believe they've made the necessary moves in this offseason. So if you guys want them to win it next season, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button, like today's video. We got 80 people watching. Like ratio, not the greatest right now. We're at 16 likes. I need us to at least double that number, and when we do that, we'll be able to get started with today's show, okay? We're at 18 now. We need 14 more likes to get to 32 total, okay, ladies and gentlemen? Give me those. Hit that thumbs up button. Let's go. 21. Now we are 11 away, and the questions are coming in as well. Great one from Ravens fan. Do you think Tyler Linderbaum is going to go? I think there's a better chance he does than doesn't. Do you think we can keep Tyler? And likely, I don't think you will keep both of them. Again, great questions. We'll get to those more in detail and in depth when we get to that live mailbag coming up to end today's live show out. 4 more likes to get to 32. Somebody help me get there. It's going to be a fun evening. So happy you guys have joined us. Reminder, first up on today's show, we got today's news and rumors all coming from the Ravens press conference with their brand new coaching staff. After that, we got my brand new mock draft 4.0. We're going to round things out with how we always do with a good old Ravens mailbag. It's going to be a fun day right here on the Baltimore Ravens rundown. Ethan so far has crushed the buildup. I know he's about to crush this first segment as well. It looks like we're ready to roll. Did forget the name badge. There's strike number 1 for Ethan. He gets 3 strikes. It's going to end up happening to him what happened to Gage. So I'm not going to dive into that again, but that thread is out there. Yeah, that's fair. I didn't even think about that. Probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah, that's on me. Regardless, I said it. Okay, Ethan, are we ready to roll, my friend? All righty, let's get into it. Our first segment coming live to you guys right now. Before we get into the news from today's press conference, I got to know, are you excited about this new era? We got to see the brand new coaching staff for the first time all together today. They answered a ton of the most pressing questions among Ravens fans across the country. But I think over everything, it was just great to see a bunch of new faces on the podium, behind the table. And if you're pumped up about it, do me one big favor. Cast your vote and let me know by hitting that thumbs up button on today's video. I think my biggest takeaway from the press conference today is that your new Ravens offensive coordinator, 29-year-old offensive coordinator, that is, Declan Doyle, he sent a message to Ravens players, okay? And it wasn't coded. It wasn't, low-key. He pretty much just flat out there went out and challenged them to something this offseason. A little bit more on what I'm talking about. He was asked about OTAs, right? Whether he expects the veterans, the players to be there. And he said, look, we would expect them to be here. Certainly it's voluntary. But also, if you want to say that you're going to win a championship, you want to say that you have championship standards, and those are your goals and your expectations, certainly that's going to take work. That's going to take collaboration. That's going to take the beginning of building the relationship with their coaches and other players. Starting off this next regime on the right foot. And I'll be honest with you guys. I could not agree more with this if I tried. In fact, if I was in Declan Doyle's shoes, I would have said the exact same thing. Because I think he nailed it there at the end. Especially with this new coaching staff, right? When you look at last season, OTA, sure, you want those players to get there. You want them to get their new reps, but you had a second-year defensive coordinator. You had a third-year offensive coordinator. You had a 17th season of a head coach. And so it's like they weren't necessarily new installs. It wasn't necessarily a ton of new information, new things being learned, But now you've got a brand new head coach, brand new defensive scheme, brand new offensive scheme, new everything. You need your guys to be in the building. You need your leaders to be in the building. June is going to be crucial to get ahead. Because sure, you could say, Joey, not a ton of that stuff like really even matters until you get to training camp. Well, it matters to get ahead in June so that way you're not behind in July. Because if they're not there in June, guess what they've all got to do for the first time in July? They got to learn the install, right? And so I believe Declan Doyle today used that platform to send a message to the veterans and to the leaders on this team and say, hey, I want your butt to be in the facility come June for OTAs. He looked at the leaders and said, look, this is where leaders need to be leaders. It is your job to not only be in the building, but to make sure that the guys in your position groups, the guys on your side of the football, they are there as well. Lamar Jackson, Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, Derrick Henry, Nnamdi Madubuike. The 5 guys on this roster that I believe people look up to the most. It is up to them to set that new standard. It is up to them to make sure that those guys surrounding them are there partaking as well. I don't care if you've got contract negotiations. I don't care really, frankly, about anything. Because if your true goal is to win a Super Bowl, if your true goal is to compete at the highest level and hoist a Lombardi trophy, that starts in June. That starts, honestly, far before June, but that's really where the players get to participate for the first time. Look back at the Seattle Seahawks this last year. Look at them 2 years ago with that new coaching staff. You think they had guys holding out? It's going to be big for these leaders to step up and make sure this isn't an issue and make sure that everybody's there and ready to go compete for a championship. Do you agree with Declan Doyle? Give me a yes or give me a no down below in that comment section. Weigh in with your answer and tell me what you think and where you lie. One of the biggest questions for Declan Doyle today was his offensive philosophy. And he gave 3 non-negotiables for his offenses. Number 1, they're physical. Number 2, they're detailed. Number 3, they are explosive. I think that's one of the biggest things we've seen take the National Football League by storm offensively over the last couple of years. I tend to look at it in the same way I look at three-pointers in the NBA. People realize, hey, 3 points is better than 2. I think over the last couple of years, people have realized how big explosive plays are offensively. And that the more explosive plays you can create, the better you're going to be at moving the football down the field and ending up with points. I love the fact that he preached about physicality, that he preached about detail. I still got a lot of people probably asking this question, but what about his relationship with Lamar Jackson? And we can skip this social thing and go just straight to the quote, if you don't mind. That was a big question for the entirety of this process because we got that report from Diana Rossini that Lamar Jackson really, really wanted Cliff Kingsbury. We can skip this, Ethan. Go to the quote. That Lamar Jackson really, really wanted Cliff Kingsbury, right? And so when Declan Doyle originally got hired, everybody's like, okay, how does Lamar Jackson feel about this, right? Well, Declan Doyle said today, look, we've had, exchanged text messages. We've Zoomed a couple of times. And he said he's certainly excited about the caliber of player that he is. But he also loves his willingness to listen and his hunger to learn and grow. And then I thought this was really interesting. He said that first play can be more consistent at time with his eyes. Starting off with a little bit of critique of Lamar. Within his footwork, within the system, that's kind of what I've noticed as we've watched the tape. I think that Declan Doyle is going to be unbelievable for Lamar Jackson's game. If Lamar Jackson wants to get challenged, if Lamar Jackson wants to grow, if he wants to change, if he wants to get better, if he wants to be coached hard, I think Declan Doyle is going to be there to do it for him, right? I mean, in his introductory press conference to every single Ravens fan across the country, he says the first play can be more consistent at times with his eyes. He's already seeing things that Lamar Jackson can improve upon. I cannot wait to see where these two go hand in hand in the future. You want Lamar Jackson to get another MVP? I sure do. It's time for MV3 to be a thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you are right there with me, hit that thumbs up button and make sure you are liking today's video. Cast your vote that way. Another thing I know each and every one of you guys will like, and I know that because I like it myself, is our brand new Baltimore Drinking Team t-shirts that we've got live right now on the Chat Sports site. If you go to chatsports.com youtube.com/flockgreen, or I even made it easy for you. I put in the comments and description of today's video. If you don't like it in green, some people, might not think green is their color. We got it in black as well. I need people on my drinking team, whether you celebrate St. Patrick's Day or whether you use it as an excuse to hang out with your friends and go drink a ton. Support us here at the channel and get yourself a brand new awesome shirt. It is our second ever piece of merch that we've got on our store. So, first 5 people, I said this on Wednesday or a little bit earlier, first 5 people that purchase this shirt, I will give you a shout out on the next live show or an upcoming video. So be one of the first to be on our Baltimore drinking team because I need some teammates. Some other presser takeaways. They harped on a new age play like a Raven, which I thought was really, really cool. And I thought personally, this was something that I needed to hear. Because what was the biggest thing I stressed, during this head coach hiring phase? The biggest thing I was harping on for the entirety of this process was I need a new head coach that can bring back the play like a Raven mentality. And Jesse Minter said today that he and Anthony Weaver are going to work on a, quote, new age way to play like a Raven. Because I think we realize that over the last 2 decades, things have shifted. Players are different in 2025 than they were in 2005. The attitudes are different. They want to be coached differently. Their physicality is different. The coaches are different. And so you probably won't be able to get the same caliber of player from a physicality or toughness standpoint that you would have been able to have 20 years ago. That's just kind of the way the world works. But you've got to take a new age approach at it because still, to play like a Raven is important for Baltimore. In my opinion, it's the reason that you have not been able to make a change and win some big games over these last couple of seasons because you haven't had guys that are mentally and physically tough that want to impose their will. You definitely did not have that this past season. Anthony Weaver also talked about the edge rusher position. Obviously, he was a defensive lineman back in the day for Baltimore, started in Baltimore a couple of years ago as the defensive line coach. Now he is back as the defensive coordinator. This is a big topic of discussion over this offseason is what is the Ravens going to do with their edge rushers? Because last season, they frankly weren't good enough. Well, Anthony Weaver said that, hey, we certainly have some rushers from a talent standpoint. We have dudes who can get there. He also pointed out how the injury to Nnamdi Madueke dealt a hit to the Ravens' pass rush. Now, that part I do not disagree with. This part I might disagree with just a little bit. Because when you look at the Ravens' edge rusher room, like when you think about the talent that they've currently got on that roster, like right now, it's Adisa Isaac, Mike Green, Tavius Robinson, right? You've got guys like David Ajabo. He's a free agent. Draymond Jones, he's a free agent. Kyle Van Noy, he's a free agent. And so I don't necessarily agree that you got those guys from a talent standpoint. That is why we've talked a lot about either making a big trade or making that a massive emphasis come time for the NFL draft. Last up, I thought this was cool. Declan Doyle shot down some age concerns. I don't know if you guys know this. I mentioned at the top of the video, but he is 29 years old, which is absolutely unbelievable to me because I will be 26 in September. And I talk on YouTube for a living. He's about to be an offensive coordinator. Jack, how old are you? Jack is 27, even closer to Declan Doyle's age. Regardless, that's also been a concern from a lot of people. He's so young. What does he know about calling offenses? And he says, look, I've always been too young for every job I've ever had. But he's learned that doesn't matter because knowledge is power. And he has gotten to learn over the past 5 years or so from some of the most knowledgeable offensive minds in the game. From Sean Payton, from Ben Johnson. He's gotten to soak up so much information. He talked about the fact that, hey, look, I've never called plays before, but that doesn't mean that I don't visualize what plays I would be calling in those situations. I've got a lot of trust in Declan Doyle. I said at the time that it was a risk, right? But I think he's got a high ceiling. Sometimes you got to, risk it for the biscuit, as they say. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, Ravens fans. Make sure you guys got me followed on socials, Twitter, and Instagram. Combine week next week is going to be crazy busy. We'll have you covered here, but I'll also have you covered on Twitter for the entirety of it. Make sure you give me a follow over there. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We'll give you daily content, okay? Only on the Baltimore Ravens all off season long. We're not going anywhere, so don't go anywhere either. And we'll see you next time. All righty. First segment down. Ethan, how do we feel? Thumbs up? Double thumbs up from Ethan behind the computer. That means things are going well, ladies and gentlemen. One segment down. Next up is my mock draft. So appreciate for everybody hanging out with us. We got Rich, Justin, Big Deuce Uno. We got Kimberly Harmon in the building. Doyle will be 30 March 6th. Still young, but Landry was 32. First coordinator job. Well, there we go. Maybe he is the next Tom Landry. I like that, Rich. Sign Chubb, then draft a great edge rusher. I'd love to sign Chubb. I would sign Chubb yesterday. In fact, I think it's a pretty realistic chance that the Baltimore Ravens are where Bradley Chubb ends up, just because of the fact that he and Anthony Weaver played with each other, or not played with each other, but Anthony Weaver coached him just last year in Miami. I'm excited about the Ravens in the 2026 season, says Kimberly Harmon. I could not agree more. What's up, Frank G? Good to see you. Beer Man saying, let's go Ravens. Chris Byron says, no. Receiver, or, okay, Chris, is there supposed to be a comma after no? Or is that supposed to be no receiver in the first? Because if there is a comma, then you're about to be excited about this next video. But if there's not supposed to be a comma, then you might want to look away, unfortunately. Great question from Cardinals Are Good. Speaking of questions, we got our live mailbag coming up very, very shortly. Make sure you use those hashtag Ravens in the chat down below or super chat to get on today's Q&A. That is coming up in our third segment. We don't have to go to this. Or do you want to, Jack? Sweet. Let's do it. No, I'm good. We got 100 people watching. That means 100 people that could join my Baltimore drinking team with those shirts down below in the live chat. Also in the description. We got it in green. We got it in black. We got the link down there. All you got to do is click on it, and it'll take you right there. Or, of course, you could just type out chatsports.com/flockgreen. Jack, you want to say something, my friend?
If someone buys a shirt while we're live,
yes,
I will shout them out on the live right now. Because we have access to seeing when sales are made.
Okay.
So if someone buys a shirt, we will give you a big shout out. We'll do whatever. We'll celebrate. So links in the chat.
Okay.
Go get one of these sweet shirts.
Jack said, links in the chat. I'll tell you this. If we do make a shirt sale as well, I'll get the Baltimore drinking team started off right, and I'll go ahead and chug a Happy Dad. How about that? We get someone to get a Baltimore drinking team t-shirt in this live show. I'll go ahead and chug a Happy Dad. That way we can get our St. Patrick's Day celebration happening very, very early. It is a month away, but that doesn't mean we can't celebrate early. Chatsports.com/flockgreen. Coming up next is Mock Draft 4.0. This one, I like that, Devontae. I like that, my friend. Actually, before we get into the next segment, let's wait for that super chat to populate. Ethan, let's throw that up there. That way we can show our man Devontae McBride some love. And that's actually when we get to the mailbag segment. I'll script this out, Ethan, but that is where we will start. Okay? Not start the whole thing, but when we go to the live questions. Cool? Great. I'll script that. There we go. Throw that across, my friend. Shout out to my main man, Devontae McBride. Priority is getting these trenches right. I do agree with that, Devontae. I have always been of the impression that I think Vega Uwane out of Penn State, there's a good chance that he is the selection. And if that's the selection, sure, it might be a little bit boring, but I think we all agree that with the guard play this last year, that is what is most needed. One of my best friends from college always says this: getting an offensive lineman in the first round of the draft is like getting socks for Christmas. You're never going to be excited about it in the moment. It's not a sexy pick, but they're useful, they're good, and you're excited about them down the line. But yes, I agree. And thanks for the $2 super chat, my friend Devontae. All right, now, Ethan, let's get ready to go into segment 2, Mock Draft 4.0. With that being said, Devontae, I might be ignoring a little bit of trenches in this next video because I'm going with an exciting pick in the first round at pick number 14, one that I promise you Lamar Jackson will love. Okay, Ethan, we ready to roll? Let's do it. Second segment coming live at you right now. Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Peterson, and it is my fourth mock draft of this offseason. And this one, I promise you, is going to be Lamar Jackson's favorite. Got himself some elite weapons in the 10 picks for the Baltimore Ravens coming up on this mock. But real quickly, we got weekly mock drafts here all offseason long. We've done 4 already. We got a lot more to go until late April. And if you love this segment, please let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. It is always nice to know that these are appreciated, that you guys love watching these as much as I love doing them. So if you are a fan of these segments, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button and like today's video. There's no lie that the Baltimore Ravens' biggest needs draft-wise are in the trenches. Offensive line at the guard spots, and heck, if Tyler Linderbaum's in the exit door as well at the center spot. Defensive line in the interior, on the edge. And then you get to positions like cornerback, linebacker, wide receiver. I would say maybe throw wide receiver in that third spot, cornerback, linebacker. You can put those last 3 wherever you want them, but offensive line and defensive line definitely are the top 2. But this is a mock draft that Lamar Jackson will really, really like. And you get to 14, and this is a guy that will be very, very hard to pass on. And that's where I'm going with my first selection. Number 14 overall, give me Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. I get it. I just talked about how important the trenches were. And I'm just going to assume that in this mock draft, they got the trenches taken care of in the offseason. And this feels like one of those moments where it might be a CeeDee Lamb 2020 Dallas Cowboys moment. Dallas didn't necessarily need wide receiver at that spot, right? They had Amari Cooper. They had some talented tight ends. They had a really talented offense, but they never thought CeeDee Lamb would fall that far, down to 17. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't pass up on him. And that's where maybe I feel and I believe that Baltimore might be with Jordan Tyson. Okay, let me let you guys know a little bit more on the wideout. 61 receptions in 2025, only played 9 games, dealt with a little bit of injuries, which is his history. Definitely something to be a little bit cautious of. But 711 receiving yards, 11.7 yards a catch, 8 touchdowns, and 1 drop. Now, why do we even mention drops? Well, it's because the year prior to that, in 2024, when he originally flashed onto the scene, he had 7 drops. So he made a massive, massive improvement from one year to the next, and I think that is definitely something that needs to be discussed, needs to be talked about, because after 2024, everybody said, you got this elite prospect, this guy who could be very, very talented, but he drops the football too much. Well, he didn't drop it nearly at all in 2025. One thing I like about him is he gives you kind of a little bit of a new look for a Ravens wide receiver. Like, he's not quite a massive, X wide receiver, like a Megatron, but still 6'2", 200 pounds. I love the size on him. I love going away from smaller 5'10", 5'11", shifty wide receivers to getting a guy who's a very, very good route runner, great contested catch ability, but still has the ability to turn on the afterburners and get away from the cornerbacks and go make a play. Look, the wide receiver room, a little bit of a question right now. Zay Flowers, is he a wide receiver 1? Rashad Bateman, was he a waste of money? DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent. Tyler Wallace, LaJohntay Wester, those guys don't get utilized. Jordan Tyson, I have zero hesitations about his ability to come into an NFL franchise and be a wide receiver 1 in this league. Grade the pick for me. A, B, C, D, or F down below in the comment section. Let me know where you stand on it. Be honest with me, okay? Don't sugarcoat it. I can take the criticism. I can also take the praise if you love it. On to round 2 we go. Now we will address the offensive line with a pretty dang good prospect as well. Let's talk about Emmanuel Pregnan from the University of Oregon, offensive guard. Played right guard this past year for the Ducks, left guard this past year for the Ducks. Almost 800 total snaps this past season, which is a ridiculous number. Obviously, it helps when a team like Oregon goes all the way to the playoff and even wins a couple of playoff games. 88.2 overall grade, 88 pass block, 88.3 in the run block. Really, really consistent. Only 1 penalty, 0 sacks allowed. And I feel like this is one of those selections that, for a value perspective, is a really, really good one. Because there are arguments that a guy like Vega Awane is somewhere around the 25th, 28th best prospect. And if you get him at 14, sure, you'd fill that need at offensive guard, but technically that's a pretty big reach if you're looking at best player available. But if Emmanuel falls all the way down to your second-round selection, from a value perspective, that is an unbelievable pick. I'm tired of Daniel Falele. Thank God he's a free agent. Tired of Andrew Voorhees. Thank God he's a free agent. You need somebody to be able to come in here and be a starter year one, and you need the big jump from Emory Jones Jr. into year two, and bang, your guard situation might be figured out for the future. We did trenches in round 2. Let's go trenches in round 3 as well. Pick number 80. Give me Darrell Jackson Jr., defensive tackle out of Florida State. He was one of the lone bright spots for the Seminoles this past season. Did not have a very good year outside of that first game against Alabama, but Darrell Jackson Jr. did have a pretty solid year on the interior. 45 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, 14 pressures as well. This is one of those guys that, like, I promise you, he is going to go to the scouting combine, and he is going to just leap off the page just because of the physical traits he has and the athleticism that he has as well. Started his career in Miami back in 2022, then transferred to Florida State. His biggest year, actually, from a sack and pressure perspective, was 2024, 3.5 sacks, 30 pressures. But you just need help on the interior. It feels like, Nnamdi Madubuike is going to be back in the lineup. Maybe. If you look at his Twitter, you can see he's kind of been hinting at it over the last couple of weeks. Regardless, you need depth there. And Darrell Jackson Jr. is that depth. And he's pretty dang good depth at that, okay? So I think getting interior defensive line in the third is a really good option. But that's not the only help you need on the defensive line, right? You could have some help on the edge as well, and that is where Dame Tucker comes in, out of Western Michigan, edge rusher. This dude is one of the bigger sleepers in the draft, okay? He's one of those guys that, oh my goodness, if you watch the tape, he jumps up like no other. Now, he doesn't play the stiffest of competition over there in the MAC, but still, stats, numbers, and just pure abilities, nobody can take those away. 14.5 sacks in 2025, 51 pressures, 90.6 overall grade, 92.7 pass rush grade, a win percentage against a true pass set, 40.8%, number one in all of college football, okay? It might feel a little bit Mike Greenish because he was a guy last year from a small school in Marshall that absolutely dominated. And Mike Green, maybe he didn't have as good of a rookie year as you thought he was going to, but also I look at the scheme change that's about to come from Zach Orr to Jesse Minter, and I just feel like you're about to get better play from your edge rushers. Let's add another young stud with a really, really high ceiling. And the funny thing about edge is we've been talking about it all offseason long, and Anthony Weaver discussed it a little bit in his press conference on Wednesday. He said, look, we certainly have rushers from a talent perspective. We have dudes who can get there. And I don't necessarily agree with that. That's why I'm hitting it in the first 4 rounds. Wherever you do draft edge rusher, whether it's first round, second round, third round, fourth round, I do believe it needs to be a top 4 round pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Where do you think the Ravens should draft an edge? Fill in that blank for me. The Ravens should draft edge in the blank round. You let me know down below in the comment section. Weigh in with your answer and tell me what you think. We got more picks coming up, okay? So do not go anywhere. But real quickly, we got to tell you about our awesome sponsor, our friends over at Prize Picks. And you could shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports. Anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your play gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game finishes. Even though the big game is over and it feels like football season is over with it, this is what is so cool about our friends at Prize Picks because you can look to the next season as well. I'm going to take the more on Myles Garrett, 13.75 sacks. The more on Saquon Barkley, 1,000 225 rushing yards. And I'm also going to take the more on Justin Jefferson, 7.5 rushing touchdowns. If all of these, go good for your boy, I could be cashing in and winning big with our friends over at PrizePicks. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. We thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show and making it free to each and every one of you. Let's go into round 5, pick number 152. Let's address the needs at tight end with Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. You signed Mark Andrews to a contract extension in the middle of last season. I think that was a mistake, but they did it nonetheless. You cannot go back. Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kolar, free agents. You need another tight end on this roster, and I think Royer is a very, very interesting prospect. He is a matchup nightmare. Needs to improve a little bit in the blocking aspect of things, but his ability to be a pass catcher is really, really impressive. 29 receptions on 33 targets, really soft hands, 416 yards, 14.3 yards catch, 4 touchdowns. But the most impressive year he had definitely wasn't 2024. Look at that. 50 receptions. Actually broke Travis Kelce's reception record for tight ends in Cincinnati in 2024. And I was talking about this room earlier. When you look at this depth chart, you see only one guy who is guaranteed to be a Baltimore Raven in 2026, and that is Mark Andrews. Other than that, you need some people. And with Declan Doyle now being the offensive coordinator, being a Ben Johnson disciple, Ben Johnson loves to use tight ends as fullbacks because he likes to have a bigger, more athletic type guy in there than just a fullback who's not really a threat when he catches the ball. Not a threat to catch the ball. So tight ends are going to be very, very important for Doyle. I think they re-signed Kolar, let Likely walk in free agency, draft a tight end in the first 5 or 6 rounds. I think Royer would be a great pick. Let's continue on with the 5th round picks. This one is going to be Hezekiah Masses, cornerback out of Cal. I think that cornerback is a pretty big need for the Baltimore Ravens. Still really don't know what's going to happen with the future of Marlon Humphrey. Very, very big cap hit for the 2026 season. Wouldn't be surprised if you see another restructure. Wouldn't be surprised if you see him cut, if you see him traded, or if you see nothing happen. Regardless, you need depth in that position. And at 6'1", 185 pounds, I think this guy's a pretty solid frame to kind of start investing in now. As a 5th round pick, you don't expect him to come in and be a year 1, day 1 starter, but for his abilities in coverage, his abilities to make play on the football, 13 pass deflections, 5 interceptions at Cal this last year, I think it's definitely a smart investment to make and a guy who I could see having a really strong future in Baltimore with the right coaching, which you believe you've brought in with Jesse Minter, who specializes in defensive backs. In round 5, pick number 172, you're going to go back to the G5 and you're going to get Caleb Proctor out of southeastern Louisiana. That actually might be FCS, southeastern Louisiana. It is? Gage would be 100% sure, but I trust you, Ethan, back there. 87.4 PFF grade for Proctor in 2025. That was 9th out of 885 defensive tackles. Pass rush grade, really, really impressive. 90.2. Second, pressures 40. Second out of 885 guys. Run defense could be a little bit better. That's definitely where he needs to improve. But I think this is the small school guy you could take a shot on in the 5th. Let's keep building up that offensive line, shall we? We drafted Emmanuel in the 2nd round. Let's go back to guard and get Kobe Baines out of Kansas with the pick number 173. Again, I told you guys, a lot of 5th round picks for the Baltimore Ravens coming up in the 2026 NFL draft. I think that, this is a guy that could be a really, really solid depth piece for this offensive line. Could be a guy that, under the right development could even fight for a starting spot. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year. Maybe you supplement that starting spot with a free agent, and then you give it over to Kobe Baines. Regardless, I trust Dwayne Ledford as your new offensive line coach, and I think that is one of those positions with Daniel Faalele hitting the exit door and Voorhees hitting the exit door. You just need to get as many young and promising bodies as you can in the room. That is it with the 5th round picks. Let's go to the 7th round. And let's go back into the wide receiver room. Let's get Trevor Payne. wide receiver out of Penn State. Now, for Penna, the statistics weren't anything like unbelievable for him in 2025 with the Penn State Nittany Lions. But let's call a spade a spade. Statistics for any wide receivers from Penn State really weren't that good. They could have had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And I think with that quarterback play and that offense, those guys probably would have struggled to break the 500-yard mark. Penna had 452 yards, touchdown, 43 yards was his longest. 5'10", 186 pounds, definitely a smaller type wide receiver, relies on shiftiness, athleticism to get open, makes plays with the ball after he's got it in his hands. He, prior to his stop at Penn State, was in Illinois, where he really made his name heard. And then when Penn State added him in the transfer portal over the offseason, they said, okay, they're finally getting serious about the wide receiver position. And then their quarterback play ended up being a joke. So I think he could be a good late-round steal. Again, it's the 7th round, so you don't really expect too much of these guys, especially in year 1. Speaking of the wide receiver room, what's your confidence level that Zay Flowers is a wide receiver 1 in the NFL? Scale it for me 1 to 100 down below in the comments section. I think a lot of people are kind of sitting where I'm at as well, 50-50. I want to hear what you guys think down below in the comments. We're going to round out this mock draft with another 7th round pick at 252. Let's take Connor Tollison, center out of Missouri. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Tyler Linderbaum over this offseason. And getting in a guy who was a 12-game starter for the Mizzou Tigers, I think would be a pretty solid plan of, maybe start planting some seeds and getting some depth at that position. I think it is of Baltimore's best interest to bring back Tyler Linderbaum, but who knows what they'll do. They'll have a lot of big decisions coming up over the next couple of months. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Bit of a longer one today, but hey, we love doing these mock drafts. Make sure you guys got me followed on socials. Make sure you are subscribed as well. Every single Sunday, we get you a brand new mock draft all the way into the NFL draft, so make sure to lock us in. All righty, 2 segments down, ladies and gentlemen. We got 1 segment left. It is our Ravens live mailbag, and I'm very, very excited about this one because we've got some great questions coming up. Ethan, do you mind looking in the question folders and telling me how many we've got? I mean, you don't have to say an exact number, but I feel like we've got a good bit. Okay. Yeah, and all. Make sure to check all the buckets. Is there a possibility where the Ravens move on for both, go for tight end draft like Daquan, Wright, and Royer? Yeah, maybe 2 tight ends I could see as a possibility. Maybe. From 800, 1,000, 1,200, I believe Zay is definitely a number 1. Says go. El Gato says 75. Chris Byron says 65. Usable ones? Okay. All right, well, make sure you guys are getting those questions in, okay? Hashtag Ravens down below. We do need just a couple more questions to get on today's Ravens mailbag. We need at least, because we got that, let's give us at least 3 more good questions. If you've already asked a question, maybe. Yeah, we do have the super chat as well. And that is, I scripted that. Ethan, we're going to start right after that weigh-in with Devontae's super chat. Then go to live questions, and you know the rest. I personally believe R. Mason Thomas is a target for us. I would love that. Attendance squad. Joey, how's Applesauce doing? She is doing great. Thank you for asking. And if you could put that weigh-in up for hashtag Ravens. She's doing great, attendance squad. She does have a haircut, though, tomorrow. So she will not be doing as well tomorrow because she hates haircuts. Because, unfortunately, she doesn't necessarily love people. She doesn't necessarily love strangers. So, Zay Flowers is definitely wide receiver 1, 79%. With the right wide receiver, he could turn into a wide receiver 2, says Emmanuel Coles. Yeah, I don't hate that hot take. That's a good one to get on the, to get some discussion going on the mailbag. Okay, we need 1 more question from somebody who has not asked one yet, ladies and gentlemen. 1 more question. Is a trade down possible? That's a good question, Chris Byron. Okay, Singer's a mute make sure you ask that again, but use hashtag Ravens because we won't be able just to bring that question up into the, we got to use hashtag Ravens. That way we can get on the show. Nashman Rice asks if I'm a dog or a cat person. I honestly am both. A lot of dog people just say they hate cats. I don't hate cats. I grew up with a cat who I loved dearly. But I do like dogs more. Like my wife and I have a dog, and she's almost 3, and she is our whole life. And so definitely dog people. Okay, that's a good question from Sticky Slick Billy. I think that's enough to get us going into our the cut for it. If you are ready to roll when we get there, Ethan, no worries. Perfect. All right, final segment of the day, and then we're going to get on out of here. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. It's been a fun one. Ethan's crushed it. Say it again. Oh, they did want an OT? Was it 2-1? Huge. U.S. I figured it was something related to that. All right. Ready to roll, Ethan? Let's do it. All right, coming at you right now. We're going to start off today's mailbag with a great question from Big_Boozy. Should the Ravens trade for Kayvon Thibodeau? Funny thing is, ESPN actually wrote an article about this. They talked pretty deeply about it, so I was planning on discussing this at some point on the channel. This is a perfect excuse to do a deep dive into this question and into this, proposed trade. Let's start with what Bill Barnwell of ESPN had to say. He said, look, it's difficult to see Thibodeau having much of a future in New York. The Giants signed Brian Burns to a long-term contract and just used the 3rd pick on Abdul Carter, who posted massive pressure rates in his debut season. Thibodeau will be an unrestricted free agent after the 2026 season. Jesse Minter, who turned around Oweh, is now the head coach in Baltimore. And Minter might fancy his chances of getting more out of Thibodeau, who came into the league with the top 5 pick toolbox and racked up 11.5 sacks in his 2nd year with the Giants. Now, ESPN's trade idea was the Baltimore Ravens. They get edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau, and the Giants, in turn, receive a 2026 4th-round pick. Thibodeau is an interesting case study. He's an interesting discussion because, like Barnwell stated, he's got all the tools. He's still incredibly young, only 25, and he has a ton of experience for a 25-year-old. But he's also struggled staying healthy every now and then, and sometimes his production just seemed to fall off a cliff, kind of like the 2025 season. You saw both of those things rear its ugly head. His health, he only played in 10 games, and his production, only 2.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, still 32 pressures, pretty impressive for 10 games played. But it's that 2023 season that still lingers and keeps people coming back on Thibodeau. 50 tackles, 11.5 sacks, 16 quarterback hits. Hell, in 2024, in 12 games, 5.5 sacks, 17 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble. And I think the Oweh argument to all of this is incredibly intriguing. Because at the time, think about it, Ravens traded away Odafe Oweh. They got in Alohi Gilman. And I was saying, look, this is an awesome trade because Odafe Oweh had done nothing for Baltimore. We were saying going into this year, this is going to be a huge season for Oweh. It's a contract year. He puts up another double-digit sack season. You better believe he's going to sign a big deal for Baltimore. And then in 5 games, nothing. 0 sacks. 15 pressures. 1 tackle for loss. So he leaves. I'm not that upset about it. But then he gets with Jesse Minter, and he has 7.5 sacks in 12 games. He has 3 sacks and a forced fumble in the playoff game. 13 quarterback hits, 37 pressures, 28 tackles. You just see a massive, massive increase in his production. And so you can look at what Jesse Minter just did with Odafe Oweh, and you can say, man, imagine what he'd be able to do with Kayvon Thibodeau. And you could get a guy like that at that age for a 4th-round pick. And this Ravens edge room is nothing incredibly special. That's what also makes this intriguing, right? Because you've got Kyle Van Noy, free agent. David Ajabo, free agent. You've got a ton of free agents in that room. Draymond Jones as well. Mike Green, Adisa Isaac, Tavius Robinson. Those are the only 3 guys you've got on contract right now. Now, I do believe they're all going to take massive steps forward just because of the addition of a guy like Jesse Minter, but still, you need the horses in the stables. It's about the Jimmies and Joes sometimes, not just the X's and O's. And I think you look forward to this NFL draft, and you look at all the picks you've got, and you say, okay, at number 115, will we be able to get a prospect like Kayvon Thibodeau? A guy who has that skill set, who has that ceiling, but still is 25 years old only. But he's been playing professional football for 4 seasons. You can see how it's really intriguing. And the answer to that question, guys, might be no. Can you get that guy at 115? I don't think so. And so I could be talked into this. I really, really could. And I think if you're Jesse Minter, if you're Anthony Weaver, and you're looking at this situation and looking at Kayvon Thibodeau and saying, look, I think I can make something from that guy just like I did with Oweh, and you could sign me up. Should the Ravens trade for Kayvon Thibodeau? Give me a yes or a no down below in the comment section. Weigh in with your answer. Great question from Big Boozy to start off this mailbag. Send us on a little bit of a tangent, but hey, I had a lot of fun with it. So give us your take down below. Our other question we're going to start with, I guess not our other question, our next question that we're going to go to is a super chat from a man, Devontae McBride. Priority is getting these trenches right. And I frankly could not agree more, Devontae. I think when you look back at this last season, your 2 biggest weaknesses were your defensive line and offensive line. Your defensive line had quarterbacks sitting back there in the pocket all day long. 1 progression, 2 progression, 3 progression, and then they let the ball fly, right? Your offensive line, your right guard was non-existent. Your left guard sucked. Lamar Jackson was the exact opposite. Every time the ball came to him, within half a second, he's having to scan the field. He's done with his progressions. He's out of structure because there's already a defensive lineman in his face. This game is won and lost in the trenches. Don't believe me? Look what Seattle was just able to do in the Super Bowl. Unbelievable season because their defensive line was nasty and their offensive line kept Sam Darnold protected. Sticky Slick Billy coming up next. If we don't re-sign Likely, is Pitts a good option since he is a free agent? Great question. Pitts is going to cost more than Likely. So I don't think so. Like, it'd be cool, but if you're gonna spend a decent bit on a tight end, might as well just spend that on Isaiah Likely. Like, if they are outpriced for Isaiah Likely, they're going to be outpriced for Kyle Pitts as well. So would be cool, but I think, given the fact and the way that a guy like Declan Doyle likes to use these tight ends, he uses them a lot like a fullback. Like when you see I formation for the Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson this last year where Declan Doyle was with, you see a fullback in there in the I. When you look at the power formation, you see a tight end there as the fullback. So I think they'll prioritize a little bit more, getting tight ends that can also block a little bit better. And so that's another reason why Kyle Pitts might not be the top candidate. Ravens fan 987, I think Tyler Linderbaum is going to go. The current recording of this video is February 18th. You are watching this video on February 21st. If I had to guess, Tyler Linderbaum will not be back with the Baltimore Ravens in 2026. I just think about his market. I think if I'm his agent, there are rumors he's going to get around $20 million a year in the free market, free agent open market. It's like if you're Tyler, if you're his agent, put yourself in their shoes. You let him get to free agency, and then Baltimore most likely gets priced out. I would love to bring him back. I know it's a hot take. I would pay that much for him just because I know how important offensive line is, and you already got questions at both guard spots. I don't want to question at the center spot as well. Something I have no questions about is how awesome this deal is, how awesome this shirt is that we've got live on our site right now, chatsports.com/flockgreen. Join me on the Baltimore drinking team. Please, ladies and gentlemen, I need some people to celebrate St. Patrick's Day with. If you don't like it on the green, we do have it in black as well. It is our second piece of merch that is live on our site right now. Whether you are Irish and you love celebrating St. Patrick's Day, whether you are not and you just love slamming brews with your friends, go ahead and get this shirt for yourself because we got it on a great price right now, chatsports.com/flockgreen. Again, that link is in the comments and description of today's video. I need some people on the Baltimore drinking team with me, okay? If you want to be one of them, these things are flying off the shelves. Get yours while it's still available. We got all shirts and sizes, so make sure to take advantage of this deal. Next question is attendance squad. What does Zay need to show us to prove he is a wide receiver one? Great question. My biggest thing at Tenant Squad is I need Zay Flowers to not fumble in the big moments. Literally. I think of the AFC Championship game. I think of some other games along the way where, big moment, big time in the ball game, Zay Flowers not able to make that play. Now, late in the season, think about the Steelers game. He was able to make those plays twice. That's the kind of thing I need to see for the entirety of 2026, and I don't want to question it anymore. But, I don't think he's done enough to just make me say, okay, it's undoubted he's a wide receiver one in this league. We got Rhea. Will the Ravens trade for A.J. Brown? I don't think so, but I wouldn't be, incredibly, just unbelievably shocked if that did happen. But I would not bet on it, okay? I just think that if they're going to trade, it's going to be a trade for defensive players. It's going to be a trade for a big edge rusher, big defensive lineman or something like that, and not a guy like A.J. Brown. Kimberly Harmon, do you think the Ravens will make it to the AFC Championship and Super Bowl with the new head coach and staff? I think it is possible. I do. I think a lot of people look at that and look at this new coaching staff and say, okay, brand new coaching staff, ceiling's probably maybe one playoff win, and I disagree. You got a great you got a great roster, got some great players. You got Lamar Jackson. I think if this defense is coached the right way and this offense grows with Declan Doyle, man, the ceiling is incredibly, incredibly high. Last question of today's show from our man Chris Byron 7417: Is a trade down possible? Yes, I actually think a trade down might be likely. I know that you don't want to hear that right now. Everybody likes the 14th overall pick. Hell, you guys probably want to move into the top 10, you sickos. But let's think about Baltimore. Eric DeCosta looks at the draft as darts at a dartboard. And the more darts you have, the better chance you have of hitting a bullseye. He said that exact metaphor before out of his mouth. Not just me making something up. So, if he believes he could trade down, still get a prospect at wherever he trades down to, 17, 18, 21, 22. If he believes he can still get somebody he likes, he will do it and just get some extra picks for it. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. I'm on socials, Twitter and Instagram. I also am here every single day. Make sure you subscribe. Hope it has been a great weekend. It's been a great weekend right here on the Ravens Rundown. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. We always got you covered, so make sure to lock us in and hit that big red sub button down below. All righty. 3 cuts up, 3 cuts down. Everybody, give my main man Ethan a round of applause down in the comments section. You can't see him, but just know he played a massive part, the biggest part in getting this show not only in the air, but flying smoothly, 0 turbulence. So proud of him for that. Absolutely crushed it. Before we get out of here, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button. We are at 67 likes. Could we do the massive, also, shout out for that. Could we do the massive move and get it to 100? I get it, it's a big ask. We got 33 likes to go to get to 100, but I know there's 33 people in this live show right now that have not liked the video yet. So I at least need to get to 80, would love to get to 100, and I need you guys to help me go to get there. Feel like that mock draft was a very, very fun one, but B, I think it's probably going to be very controversial. I think a lot of people won't want to see Jordan Tyson picked at 14, but I do believe that he is a guy that, I think he's going to be a star in this league. Okay, 10 more likes to get to 80. That's the goal. We're not getting off until we get to 80. Now 8 more likes. Let's go. Frank saying, great job, Ethan. Kimberly sending in those clap emojis. Scott's giving Ethan some love. So is Attendance Squad. So is Emmanuel. Rich. Everybody showing him some love. Tibbs, Chubb, Draymond, Mike Green, T-Rob. Solid edge rush room. I could not agree more. Chris gives my mock draft a C+. Hey, that is good enough, Chris. Okay? That is good enough. Did something happen? Oh, Wyatt Teller will not return to Cleveland. Oh, great. I missed that. Okay, 6 more likes, ladies and gentlemen. 5 more now. Don't make me hold my breath. until we get to 80 likes. We've done that before. I've almost died and passed out, so I prefer not to do that again. I mean, it's not up to me, unfortunately. So, it is what it is. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate you. Frank says B. If Lamar Jackson stay healthy, he will win MVP again, says Kimberly. Could not agree more. 4 more. I'm going to hold my breath till we get to 80. You guys made me do it. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
We need 5 likes, please. 4 likes, please. I do not want Joey to pass out. Please. 4 likes. There's got to be 4 of you. Oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity. 3 likes. I don't want Joey to pass out. We need 3 likes.
There we go. Oh, man. I knew you guys wouldn't let me pass out on stream. Alrighty. That's going to do it for today's show. We got to 83. Well, maybe I hold my breath till we get to 100. Just kidding. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Shout out to producer Ethan, executive producer Jack Lotteray. My name is Joey Peterson. Thanks again so much for being here. We'll see you next time. God bless.